South Korea is holding its second Olympic Games ever, and there's been a lot of conversations going on just about how much North Korea will be involved in the Games. Given the North's recent nuclear tests and just the overall rising tensions on the Korean peninsula, things have surprisingly been going pretty well. Not only have the North Koreans decided not to boycott the Games, they've also let their athletes march under a unified flag with South Korea. So at this moment, it seems like diplomacy might be working. But what would you say if I told you the last time South Korea hosted the Olympics, things were not this calm? Hey guys, I'm Judah, this is NowThis World, and in this episode, I want to tell you the story of the last time South Korea hosted the Olympics, and more importantly, the chaos that surrounded it. It all started in 1981 when the International Olympic Committee, or the IOC, unexpectedly chose South Korea to host the 1988 Summer Games. It was a big deal because at the time, the country was dealing with severe political and economic instability. Military generals ruled the country, and frankly, it was still reeling in the aftermath of its separation with the North following the Korean War. Neither of the Koreas were even members of the United Nations at this point. The announcement was seen by many as South Korea's coming out party to the international stage, and the North wasn't happy. They complained to the IOC demanding they have the right to co-host the Summer Games. But the South wasn't having that. Over the next few years, multiple attempts at negotiations would take place and then break down. The IOC wound up eventually offering the North a chance to host 6 sporting events as a concession, but because the offer didn't include any other of North Korea's demands, they ultimately decided to boycott the entire event. But those negotiations weren't the only point of tension between the two nations during this time period. Far from it, actually. Though there had been rising tensions since the announcement that South Korea would host the event, things took a violent turn in 1983. South Korea's president and nearly half of his entire cabinet were in Burma on a state visit. The officials were taking part in a wreath-laying ceremony at a monument dedicated to the country's founder. As the ceremony began, 3 explosive devices detonated. The attack killed at least 19 people, including 6 high-ranking South Korean officials. According to now declassified CIA reports, the attack was allegedly meant to assassinate the South Korean president. And although North Korea denied the attack, the CIA gathered information that they claimed implicated North Korea. There were even other governments that believed the former North Korean leader, Kim Jong-il, was the mastermind behind the attack. But this wasn't even the most shocking or deadliest attack reportedly committed by North Korea. Which brings us to 1987, just 10 months before the Games were set to take place in Seoul. On November 29, 1987, Seoul-bound Korean Airlines Flight 858 blew up near Burma, killing all 115 people on board. The incident shocked the world. But what was even more shocking was that it wasn't an accident. The culprits were 2 highly trained North Korean spies, 1 man and 1 woman. According to one of the captured perpetrators, they boarded the plane in Baghdad, Iraq, pretending to be Japanese citizens with a time bomb disguised as a small clock. They then got off the plane during a layover in Abu Dhabi, but left the bomb on board. The device detonated while the plane was over the Andaman Sea near Burma. After the explosion, the 2 spies were caught and detained in Bahrain. They both attempted to ingest cyanide to kill themselves, but only the male spy died from the chemical. The woman, Kim Hyun-hee, failed in her attempt and later confessed to being a North Korean spy. She said the mission was to make Seoul seem unsafe for tourists during the upcoming Olympics. She was charged with murder and sentenced to die for her crime, but was later pardoned in South Korea for being brainwashed into committing the crime by North Korean leadership. After her pardon, she's become an outspoken advocate against the North Korean regime. Kim Hyun-hee still lives to this day in an undisclosed location in South Korea because she fears she'll be killed if North Korea finds out where she is. This all brings us back to today in the current Olympics. Even though North Korea makes the headlines nearly every day and war seems all but inevitable, it's important to realize that things have been and could be much worse. Yes, tensions are high, but diplomacy also seems to be working in certain cases. Things that once seemed unimaginable are now happening. Just look at the recent visit to South Korea by Kim Jong-un's sister. Not only did she attend the Games, but she even met the South Korean president. That's a huge deal because she's the first immediate member of the North Korean ruling family to even visit the South. So even though these 2 countries are still technically at war, they've managed to come together, at least for these Games. So what do you guys think? Could the latest Olympic Games be a starting point for the reunification of the Koreas? Let me know what you think in the comments below. And as always, thanks for watching NowThis World, and please don't forget to like and subscribe for more every week.